Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the final episode of season 2 of Morning Cartooning. I can't believe it. This is already 2 seasons we've done. I think most of them pretty much all during COVID. Whew. Um, it's been a ride. You guys are awesome. It was so much fun. Um, and I definitely have some new things in store, but we can talk about that later. Uh, Welcome. I hope you guys are having a good morning. Um, yeah, I hope you guys had some interesting dreams that we can draw today. We are going to be covering the topic of Little Nightmares, and that's like a video game that was recommended to us by, I believe, Jet, because he drew a great version of it too. So let's check it out. For today, our morning game plan. If you're new, this is where we look at what we're going to do during the day for the next hour in this episode. We start off with the art review, which is where we look at the art that we drew last episode or previous episodes. Then we do a quote of the day, which is a quote that's supposed to inspire us to get us into the right mindset for drawing. And speaking of mindset, that's our next portion is called the morning mindfulness. And that's where we try to assess where we're at, try to get in touch with some of the feelings that we're feeling this morning, whether they be good or bad or fun or not so fun. We just want to know what they are, and then that way we can put them into our art and hopefully get them out of our bodies and onto the page and feel them and express them in a healthy way. So then right after that, the morning mindfulness, we have our two art icons. Today they're two different puzzle pieces because that I felt was appropriate for the things that we're going to be talking about today. And then in between those two art icons, we have our karate break, which is a chance to get up and move around, drink some water, stretch, because it's so important to not get so stiff and like hunched over your drawings, because you want your drawings to be able to flow and freely come out through your expression and not be so stiff. So it helps when your body itself isn't stiff either. Then we also have our challenge of the day, which is I send you guys off with a challenge to do after the show is over. And then we check to see if we have any morning mail. We actually do have some morning mail today, so I'm excited to open that mailbox up with you guys. And then we say our goodbyes. All right. Hey, Isabella, I noticed you said in the chat, I think my nightmares might be too gruesome to draw. So we're going to look at some gruesome things first, but we're not going to end it on that. So even if we go into like kind of like a scary, murky place a little bit, we're going to come out. I'm going to show you guys how you can get through those dreams, because I think a lot of us have things that aren't fun to deal with in life, and part of being able to figure out how to cope with those unfun things is actually being able to face them head on and not just kind of pretend that they don't exist, because that usually doesn't work out too well. Eventually they come up. So I'm excited to learn about this with you guys. Also, I will talk about remembering dreams too, and how you can work and get better at remembering dreams if that's something that you'd like to do. It was really cool. This was a really fun episode, and I'm really glad it kind of all came together. All right, so our last week art review was we did drawing the voices in our heads. So the one voice in the purple background, this guy right here, he is, I think we said he was Hope, right? Or yeah, I think he was Hope. Yeah, and that was the character that we came up with, and we wanted to go for a triangular shape, because he. I think Hope is like a directional. It kind of shoots us off into the right direction. And then we also have how other people view us. And so that's the far right one. And that's how Slider views me, which is just like always feeding him lettuce and kind of a big looming character over him, which is really funny. Also, Noah A. Submitted a Mother's Day Charlie Mackesy drawing that I really liked. And so I wanted to share with you guys that one. It was really cool. Usually in Charlie Mackesy, that was 2 episodes ago, he does ink drawings with a quill pen, and we did that in class. And Charlie will do like a boy and a mole and a horse and a fox, I think, are the 4 characters, and it looks like Noah put his family members instead sitting on the branch instead of the 4 characters, which is really cool. So thank you guys for submitting that. If anybody ever wants to submit your work to me, I would love to see it. I love seeing your artwork, and you can send it to me at my email at noahfontaine@gmail.com or on through Instagram at teacher.noah. Both are good. And Jet, I'm sorry that your nightmares are pretty depressing. That's probably why they're nightmares, right? Yeah, it's a bummer when you have a lot of bad dreams and you wake up and you don't feel rested. That's been happening to me a lot lately too. Have you been having your nightmares recently, or is this like talking about in the past? I've been having a lot of random dreams, which is why I think I'm excited to talk about this episode, because it'll hopefully help us coping and deal with bad dreams, and also just having restless nights of a lot of dreams at night, because I've been having so many crazy dreams, and they're not necessarily bad, they're just, I feel active in the dream. So it's like when I wake up, I don't feel like I was just sleeping. I feel like I was like running around doing stuff. I wanted to talk to you guys about Dmitry Mendeleev. He was a scientist, and he's the person that we're going to be quoting today. It's basically you living your normal life. All right. Well, I'm excited to talk about it more, Jet. And we could draw it out and see what comes up. It'll be fun. Dmitry, by the way, though, he was obsessed with finding a logical way to organize the chemical elements. This is before the periodic table of elements existed. This is way before. That topic had been on his mind for months, and convinced that he was close to discovering something significant. Dmitry moved index cards around for many hours until he finally fell asleep on his desk. So imagine him, he's just got like all of his like study sheets, and he's got all the elements written down on post-it notes and index cards, and he's moving them all around, just like trying to figure out a way to organize it, because he's like, there's got to be an order. There's like everything in nature has some kind of structure and order, so that how can I add that order to the periodic to the all the elements? And he fell asleep on his desk, and then when he woke up, he discovered that his subconscious mind had figured it out. A logical arrangement for the elements had come to him, and he later wrote, "In a dream, I saw a table where all the elements fell into place as required. Awakening, I immediately wrote it down on a piece of paper." So you could actually see that's up top is the note is a sheet of paper that he used to categorize the periodic table of elements, or just the elements, and into creating the periodic table of elements. And so Dmitry actually created the periodic table of elements that you'd learn about in your science books from a dream, where it came to him when he was asleep after working like hours on it in real life and in a waking life. And I wanted to share that because I think dreams, well, I don't think that dreams necessarily are signs for something that's going to happen. That's my opinion. I think it's more our brain processing information, but that doesn't mean that there's a lot of that there isn't a lot of benefit for dreams. I think that we can use them for very strategically for a lot of different reasons and have a lot of fun with them. And we're going to talk about that later. So don't worry if that doesn't make so much sense yet. As we take a moment to breathe, though, for our morning mindfulness, I invite you to think back to your most common dream. If he didn't before, Dmitry most likely valued the power of a good night's sleep a lot more after it helped him make a scientific discovery. This is something all dreams have the power to do. They're ways for our brain to work out problems without the pressure of coming up with solutions. I've been watching a lot of documentaries and a lot of reading up a lot about dreams, and it's interesting because even songbirds do this, where they'll try to create their own songs, it's like a mating call kind of thing. So it's pretty crucial for them and their survival to do this. So there's a lot of pressure on this topic for them, for a little sparrow to make a song. I think sparrows are songbirds, but what they found was that the bird and the brainwaves that the bird would have while it was trying to come up with the new song during the day were very similar to the things that the bird was thinking about at night. So basically, they discovered that that the bird was actually dreaming up different melodies for the songs that they were trying to come up with the day, and then when they woke up, they would kind of tighten it down, clarify it. So imagine if the bird in the middle of the night is sleeping and it's just scribbling like notes, and that's how it's coming up with the music. It's like very loosely pieced together, like grabbing all these, trying out different melodies and stuff. And then when the bird wakes up, it's like, okay, what do I like from this? What I want? How do I make this into like an actual song? And that's literally what the birds do. Um, and that's what people do too. I mean, our brains are way more advanced and higher functioning than a bird's brain. And so think of all the things that we can do with our brains uh, in our sleeping moments. And what's really interesting about dreams is that when you're in that dream state, you're kind of free from repercussion and free from uh, having anything trying to pressure you into like coming up with the result. Like it's just a dream. There's really only the pressure that's created in the dream. So if you can harness that and use, and our brains already know that that you're asleep, so they don't have to figure this out right now. So in that freedom, without the pressure, they can actually come up with different solutions and different ways to try things and see if things will work, because there's no risk and there's no pressure. They can just do it in your sleep. So it's really interesting that your brain is like having a lot of fun trying to play around with different ideas while you're sleeping. So if we can learn to use this to our benefit, I think we'd, one, give ourselves a better rest, and two, we could solve our problems with an unthreatening and less stressful way. Now, as we move on to the next portion of the episode, I invite you to take this opportunity to let your dreams soar and don't tether yourself to the ground while creating and discovering. I think that's a big part of creativity. I heard somebody say that creativity is just our mind making connections with things that we already know and connecting them in different ways. And I was like, that actually worked. Um, Welcome back, Jet. I'm glad you switched computers so that worked. So yeah, if you can, yeah, I figured. I noticed the last name. So yeah, if you think of it in that way, think of that we're just making connections with things that we already know and already exist. It could be a lot of fun. So our first part is called Nightmares, and this is for the Little Nightmares game. Now, I always get so many business ideas when I sleep. Oh, that's so cool. Wait, what is it? What is one of the business ideas you come up with through your sleep? I'm very curious what this is. All right, so for Little Nightmares, this is a pretty creepy game. There have some creepy characters in here, like this guy. Here are the two main characters. And basically, from my understanding, is that they're trying to, when you're playing the game, you're trying to solve this puzzle. And I really like that idea of solving a puzzle, because I feel like that's part of why we dream, is our brains trying to solve puzzles. So I was thinking, if we were in a game, what kind of puzzles would we have to solve? And I think a lot of the times in our dreams, we're solving puzzles like our fears or things that we are stressed about. So I was thinking, what would that look like? Kind of like what we did last week with the voices in our head, but this time it's like, what are some of the fears that we have, and how would that look in a visual representation? So before we get into that, I just wanted to sketch out these characters. Let's see. There we go. So if I was going to make myself into into a Little Nightmares character, this is what I would look like. Let's see. They all have big heads and little bodies. I'm just drawing a stick figure for it right now, and you could do the same. This is how I would draw the characters. Too. I would start off with the stick figure. All right, let's see. And if you want, I would suggest trying to draw your own character yourself as a Little Nightmares character, because I think that'll be really fun for the next portion of this episode. So try to figure out what you would look like if you were a Little Nightmares character. Now, would you have a mask on? Both these characters have their faces covered, which I kind of like because in a dream you can't, in real life you can't see your face typically. So in your dream you wouldn't be able to see your face, even if it was you're like looking out and in on your character. Let's see. Are you drawing 6? Girl with a raincoat. I'm gonna draw myself, but kind of in that character style, so it'll look similar to 6. This is 6, I believe. Because I don't want to just. I think with this structure, if you start with a stick figure like this, you could also draw 6, with the raincoat, and you just draw on top like that. You see? But I want to draw myself in this world because I want to talk about our personal dreams that we've had too. Okay, so let's see. Maybe I just keep my hat and I just pull it down over my eyes. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. All right. How are you guys looking? Let's see. We got 10:18. Okay, so we're making good time. We have time to finish this guy up. All right. I think I'll give myself the beard back in my dream too. It'd be interesting to see myself as like a little kid almost. All right. And right now, I'm also, if you guys are wondering, I'm using the. Hey Nick, what's up? Squeaky Squid, what's up, dude? That's a hard one to say. I'm using the 6B pencil in Procreate under the sketching category, um, just so that if you just have a regular pencil, it's like the same thing. think there's our sketch. This kind of looks like he's doing a weird pose. I feel like that's not the pose that main character was doing. Let's see. What size brush? Let's see. This is a 60%. It's at 60, 70%. I haven't zoomed in. The size of my canvas, though, that might change. It's 3,000 by 1,700 pixels, which is pretty big. Let me know if that answered your question. I think that's what you wanted, right? Okay. All right, so here's my character. I think for the inking, I'm going to use... Let's use the dry ink brush. There we go. Okay. And this brush I'm using right here, this is a dry ink brush, but I've modified it. The original looks like this one, which is a little bit more gritty, but it should work similarly, like that. If you guys ever want, and there's a brush that I have that you don't have, I believe I can send it to you guys. So I could send it to you guys in the email. So let me know if there's a brush. And remember what we were talking about at the beginning of this class, that we want to try to get into the mindset that we can explore freely without getting too tied to like the results, almost as if we were in a dream state. How are you guys doing? All right, and we'll do a quick color in for him using I think a watercolor brush would be cool because these look very like smudgy. I'll use that word. Oh no. Hello, can you still hear me though? That's weird. All right. Let me see. I'm going to try to cut out and cut back in again really quick. Am I back? Let's see. Oh, let me see if I can see myself. Yay. All right. Okay, cool. Awesome. I'm glad that was that easy to fix. Okay, we're almost done, so let's just finish up this watercolor. I'm going to do some shadows. All right, awesome. What if I was just like, that was just a test to see if you guys were listening? All right. All right. Here we go. This is my little nightmares character right here. And we're going to use him for the next portion of the class. So I'm going to... Okay. All right. right, cool. How did your guys come out? Did you guys do your own little Nightmares character? Were you able to um, were you able to come up with something cool? What were you wearing in your character? What do you feel like is your like iconic look that you guys always have? I'm interested to know. Um, all right, so our next portion of the class is, like we said, karate break with Sensei Noah. Interesting story for those of you that don't know. I'm sure a lot of you do already. I grew up in Clifton, Jersey, New Jersey, and this was the karate school that I went to as a kid. All good if you want to keep on drawing yours. Although I would recommend a stretch or something like that just to get up for a hot second, even if you don't do the karate. Yours wearing a hoodie? Okay, cool. I can't wait to see it. Yeah, so I used to do karate in Clifton, New Jersey, and this is me as an orange stripe belt, and I kept on going there until I was in my 20s, and that was when around that time was when I was also teaching there as well, which is really cool. So we used like to play a game. Whoop, whoop, Clifton, yep. Yeah. Yeah, we like to play a game in that class called Sensei Says, and it's just like Simon Says, except we call it Sensei because that's the teacher. That's what you call a teacher. So I used to be Sensei Noah, and now I'm Teacher Noah, but it really means the same thing. I had one little girl call me one time. She goes, Mrs. Sensei? And I was like, not quite, but close enough. I actually had another student this week call me, it was like Mrs. Brown or something like that. And I was like, what did you just call me? And he tried to like skate by it like he did just call me that. And I was laughing so hard. I was like, you just called me your other teacher's name? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So before we get into this, let's stretch a little bit. So what I like to do is pull your arm back like this and then hug your other arm close to you. That stretches at your shoulder a little bit. You could pull your arm down like this and stretch. Pull this arm down and stretch. There we go. You can roll your shoulders, rotate your neck. Whatever you feel like, touch your toes, whatever you feel like needs to be stretched just to wake yourself up a little bit, because it's important to not get like, slowly like losing steam in your drawing, because then that doesn't usually turn out the best. And then you get frustrated, then you don't want to draw again, and then it takes you a while to get back into the drawing. So let's start off with front kicks. So these guys right here. I almost got it right, but I pointed that way. I feel like it's always this way for whatever reason. Let's start with front kick. Ready? So put your hands up, stand up, and do front kick. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says side kick. Sensei says back kick. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says side kick. Back kick. Sensei says back kick. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says side kick. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says back kick. Front kick. All right. Did you guys get out already? If you didn't, I think we're ready for round 2. Okay. We're going to add the blocks in, which are right here. There we go. And we're going to do rising block like this, cross block, middle block, and down block, and parry, which is like a down block but with an open hand. Okay. Sensei says rising block. Sensei says middle block. Sensei says cross block. Sensei says front kick. Sensei says side kick. Sensei says back kick. Sensei says rising block. Sensei says down block. Sensei says parry, middle block. Sensei says rising block, cross block. Sensei says front kick, side kick. Sensei says back kick. Sensei says rising block. Sensei says down block. Sensei says parry. Sensei says middle block, parry. All right. Next round 3. If you're still in, this is going to be the hardest round, and I'm excited to try to get you guys out. Okay, here we go. We're going to do attacks, which are these ones right here. We have straight punch, spear hand, heel palm, hammer fist, back fist, shuto, ridge hand, and vertical fist. All right, Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says spear hand. Sensei says back fist. Sensei says rising block. Sensei says down block. Sensei says cross block. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says ridge hand. Sensei says heel palm. Sensei says back fist. Sensei says shuto. Sensei says ridge hand. Sensei says vertical fist. Sensei says vertical fist. Sensei says heel palm, rising block. Sensei says cross block. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says straight punch. Sensei says front kick, side kick, back kick. Whew. All right, how many of you got out? I'm intrigued to hear. I got it the first time, so I just started dancing out of disappointment. I love that. What kind of dancing do you do, Jet? I know, that was intense. I'm ready to draw now. Now I feel like excited to draw again. And this is really cool. Okay, so this next part I really am excited to show you guys. This is the part called solutions. Now, let me make my face a little bit smaller. There we go. Now, this woman called Allison McCarthy. That's her name. She is a lucid dreamer. And this is on. You can watch her interview on the Nice Freestyle and Dancing. Speaking of freestyling, that's actually what dreaming is. It's freestyling. It's like you're just making it up as you go, being very fluid, not being constrained to any one style necessarily. Um, Now, if you check it out on Netflix, it's called The Mind Explained. It's a series, and this one is called Dreams, which makes sense. But they have other ones called like Anxiety and Memory, which are really interesting too. And this is Allison. She talks a bit in the Dreams one about her dream notebook, and she's a lucid dreamer. And a lucid dreamer is a dream where you know you're dreaming while you're dreaming. Has that ever happened to you? I feel like I don't typically have those dreams. I rarely, if ever, have known that I was in a dream while I was dreaming. But she has an Instagram account too that you could check out called The Sleeping Third. And that's based off of the fact that we spend 1/3 of our life asleep. So in her idea, she says, let's make it count. So she does these really cool drawings in her sketchbooks, like these. These are some of her posts on Instagram. And they're just like really simple drawings that help her remember the dream. So she'll do them, I think, as soon as she wakes up or as soon as she realizes she's dreaming. She'll grab it and like draw it really quick. She gives it a title. She numbers the dreams. I think she's done over like 1,000 now dreams, and it's really cool because she just does one little drawing like this of the dream. And like what we talked about earlier, dreaming is actually a really useful tool to help us problem solve and figure out ways outside of our normal approach to solve our problems. Because you might wake up just like how Dmitri, the scientist, came up with the periodic table of elements. That wasn't something he came up while actively trying to think about it. It was his brain processing and breaking down information and coming up with a structure that he would never have come up with probably on his own if he was awake. Now, again, like we said, creativity is just simply the taking in information and connecting it in different ways. So that's like what dreams are made for, is to take information and just smash it together in all the different kinds of ways. You type out your dreams in your phone, but then they're only explanations. Definitely going to try sketching. I mean, yeah, I would try it out. These look so simple and so easy, and I love that she uses one color. It's like you could use a highlighter to just color it in really quick, and I think that's really cool. But yeah, I think recording dreams is really interesting because it can help you see what your brain is working through. I had a professor in college one time, and he would email himself his dreams. So he'd type it in and then shoot it to himself as an email. So in the morning he could read them as an email, and they were pretty weird. He read some of them to us, and they were hilarious. And let's see. I think that's the last slide for this section. Yes. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to draw out some of the things that we're working on visually in a dream, because we already have our main character, which is right here. So if this little guy, Noah, was going to try to deal with something, or what's a fear he might have or something like that, what might that look like? Let's see. I'm going to flatten this and just keep it up here, actually. Perfect right there. Okay. Now, for the sake of drawing it as in the Little Nightmare style, I wanted to draw a more detailed version, but I think for the rest of this drawing, I'm going to try Allison's approach. Now, I would use, let's see, I think it's under, yeah, it's either monoline, this one, or, here we go, the Jasinski ink. I modified it so that it stays in the same shape, but if you guys want and you don't want to modify it yet, you could just use monoline, and that works like this. And it kind of keeps it nice and clean, which is kind of cool. So if you draw a circle, it like straightens out the lines a little bit. Actually, you know what? That one actually, I kind of like that line better. Okay, so I'm going to use this one instead, the monoline. All right. I think if I was to visualize one of my fears, it's let's see, I type out my dreams. Okay. Just making sure I didn't miss any comments that you guys sent. If I was to type out my fears or write it down, I think one of them is not being able to follow through, like on a promise or something that I said I was going to be able to do, and kind of like missing, not being able to make it, or get there, get to the finish line kind of thing. So I view that almost, let's see, it's kind of nice having the detailed character, and then I can just draw the sketchy background behind him. So I almost see it as like I'm on a cliff. And I have to make it to the other side like this. And what's cool about the dream is, like, let's say this is how I picture it, right, in my head, where it's like, okay, I can't make it. I've made a promise, or I said I would do something, and I can't finish it, or I can't get it done in the time frame or the capacity that I said I would. Part of what's cool with like the dreams is that they're flexible. You can mold it, and just like you can mold your mind too. In the other Netflix documentary too, they talk about memory, and they said something really cool. They said that people's memories are often not very reliable, right? That you can think you can remember something accurately, and then it not actually be that way. There's the thing called the Mandela effect, which is groups of people somehow think the same thing, and then it's actually not a reality. One of the examples was like the Bernstein Bears, is that the way that they was spelt was not the way everybody could have sworn it was spelt. Another one is Looney Tunes, for example. People think that that the spelling of Looney Tunes, the tunes, is Toons, but in reality it's actually Tunes, like musical tune. And it's check it out. They have articles on it where you can see a bunch of the different Mandela effects in action. And so, that being said, our memory isn't the best. It's actually pretty easily like manipulated, and that could be looked at as a bad thing. Like if you're a witness to a crime, you wouldn't want your memory to be like that. But in the terms of creativity, having a moldable memory is actually really helpful, because they realize that your memory, it works the same way. It triggers the same chemical responses in your brain, like the electrons or whatever fire in your brain, the same way that your memory, that your brain fires when it's thinking about the future and trying to come up with like something creative. What that means is that when we're being creative, we can actually blend pieces of our past into our future and form it all together into this really cool idea or thought. And also that means that we can remold how we think about our past, or how we think about what's going to happen in the future based off of our past, because we can actually bend it and mold it and adjust it by giving different visuals. So that's why I think in tandem, alongside doing the dream activity, or you're drawing your dreams, you can use this to restructure your brain. So if this is a fear that I have, and this is a dream that comes up, and this is just how I feel, I can actually draw in a new solution to this. So let's say, what kind of solution could I have? Like if I had this dream, what could I do that could give me a solution out of this problem? Let me see what you guys are saying. I've had that before about B movie. You like jazz? I thought it was you got jazz. Oh. So let's say I get wings and I can fly over the bridge. Now some of these, I don't think they'll right off the bat feel very helpful, but I think I think we'll let our brains play a little bit and then see different ways, and then that way, even in our dream we can learn. Like even through this, it's like I can learn that there's different options for a problem. I don't always have to um, jump across. Like maybe the problem isn't that I need to get across. Maybe there's a different way, a different solution to this. Like let's say. What if they're actually just connected and I just have to go around the other way? Like that. And I think with using these metaphors and these analogies, because I've been reading a lot about metaphors and analogies and parables, and how our brains can remember things better when it's in the form of a story. We could also understand information when it's in the form of a story. So I think with something like this, now it's giving me different ways of looking at the problem. So if I'm trying to reach a problem and I'm trying to get from A to B, A to B, there's a lot of different ways other than just going straight across, right? Let's see. Okay. Let's try a different one, a different dream. I feel like you learn something every class. Like I learned something or you learned something. I hope you learned something for sure too. I also learned something, but usually I try to learn it beforehand so I can relay the information a little bit better for you guys. Okay, let's say another dream. What is another like concept or like fear that I might have? Mm, this is a tricky one. I had thought about the other one. Oh yeah, I definitely learned something every class. Um, I think just the act of trying to talk about these things is helpful for like it makes my brain process things. Definitely a big um, connector in my brain when I do things. Okay, let's say another one. Pushing yourself too far. Ooh, that's a good one. Like burning out. Okay. Okay, let's try this. So let's say this is me. And you can see it's getting pixelated already because I've been messing around with the size of it too far. All right, Jet, how would you draw that since you suggested it? How are you thinking of visually drawing, pushing yourself too far? I kind of like her stick figures. I think I want to keep it more simple than this. like that. Ooh, what about this? Okay, what if I'm pushing myself too far? And instead of thinking of myself as, let's see, if you want to finish a drawing but you're working too hard, like not eating food and water breaks. Yeah, totally. What if I feel like I'm going up, but then really there's a pit? And this is where I need to take a break, right here. Let's see. My little guy is floating a little bit, so I'm going to need to move him. Let's move him. And maybe there's a lot of reasons that I'm getting pushed too far. And then what would be the solution? If I'm getting pushed too far and I'm still achieving stuff and I'm going up the mountain, going up, achieving, but then there's this deep pit, what's the solution? I kind of like, okay, here, try this. Let's try this one out. That's too thick. Too thick. Okay. Too thin. Just right. There we go. Okay. What if somehow I use the things that were pushing me to support me as well? So I think there's a lot of things that are responsibilities. Take a break. Please you. Oh, thank you. Right, take a break. Yeah, I think that could be kind of cool. Like, instead of the things pushing you, let those things that are pushing you to hold you up in those moments when you're about to fall down and crash. Maybe there's something there. Interesting. All right, I have some important news to share with you guys. So let's go back here. Now, for our challenge for next week is keep a dream journal this week, like Allison, and see what you can dream up. So see what it is. It could be a simple little doodle like that you do half asleep, and you just give it a title maybe. I think that would be really cool. Send me your dream journals if you have any that you really are proud of or that you aren't proud of and you just want to share anyway. Send them to noahfontana@gmail.com or teacher.noah on Instagram. Now, our star student for today's morning mail is Hadassah. Hadassah said, "Hello, Teacher Noah. Thank you so much for doing the Charlie Mackesy episode. It was very calming and feels good to draw loosely like that. It's funny how much I tend to tighten up, using small, intricate lines instead of letting the pen guide me. Anyways, here's a page of drawings I did in the Charlie Mackesy style. Thanks again." Thank you again. Okay, thanks, Jet. I'm going to check it out. Okay. Here were Hadassah's drawing too. I love that she did them of her dog too. So cute. I love the little. Is that a Chihuahua dog at the bottom? That one's like insanely so good. Oh, thanks, Isabella. Okay, awesome. You guys are great. Okay. But awesome. Thank you, Hadassah. Bravo for trying out so many different drawings in the Charlie Mackesy style. And more importantly, I think I'm so glad that you found a bit of calm in the drawing and doing a traditional way to draw. I really like that, and I think that that's super important to like try out different ways of drawing so that you can discover which ways make you feel the most calm and peaceful, because that's kind of the way those are the jobs, those are the kind of drawings that you want to do for work if you were gonna make a career out of it, just like Charlie Mackesy, he does those drawings for his career now, and that's his job, which is so cool. But if he always thought that I had to draw it a certain way, I have to fix this problem, he probably would be like more stress and way more less enjoying of the work that he does. But since he was able to let go and be a little bit loose, people responded to that too, and now he's able to do that for work. To become a star student, or if you want to co-star on the show, send me an email at noahfontana@gmail.com and at teacher.noah. Also, thumbs up, subscribe. You can easily donate with the link in the description, and comment below what other topics you'd like to draw. Now, here's the big announcement. I'm going to be changing up for season 3. It's not going to be morning cartooning anymore. I'm going to be changing it up. We're going to change up a lot of things about the whole thing. It's going to be like a slightly different structure too. I haven't worked out all the details. I'm going to take, I believe, a month off. So June, I believe. I might be able to start it earlier, but I'm going to give myself until the end of June just to be on the safe side. So July will be when I start up doing the live stream classes again. Until then, I'm going to pause. I'm going to figure out some tricks and stuff that I've been wanting to do for the show to make it even better. And I really want to. I'm really excited to jump into this next concept of art remedy, which is my form of art therapy. Since I'm not a licensed art therapist, and I have a new onesie too, a jumpsuit to show you guys too, just to give it a completely new vibe and look and everything. Because it is going to be a little bit different, but it's going to be kind of like what we talked about today with our dreams and covering a lot more mental health stuff and doing art therapy techniques. Because I think that seems to be what you guys are really interested in talking about and doing, and I feel like that's where I've had a lot of the success with you guys and with students, and it's something that I'm very passionate about and have been working in that field for a while now, and I would love to use this as a reason to learn more. Yep, Dunder Mifflin too. Yeah, you guys will have to check out all of the patches that I have on this jumpsuit. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, I'm excited for it. Art Remedy Live, it'll be coming, I believe, July or end of June. Depends on how long it takes me to gather all my thoughts and have it all be awesome for you guys. And then that's when we'll do the live stream. So until then, no more morning cartooning. Yeah, I'm excited. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Send me an email or something like that. And I'd love to talk about it. If you guys have topics that you want to talk about, I would love to. You might have been Jet. Yeah, I feel like that's about right. Yeah, I know you guys have talked about wanting to draw your feelings, your emotions. You guys wanted to talk about drawing like anxiety and depression and how we can visualize that. And I want to make sure we give plenty of time for those kind of drawings, because I think that would be really helpful and important, and lead to a lot of cool discoveries and conversations. So yeah, that's where we're switching it up to. It's going to be Art Remedy Live, and it's coming soon, about in a month. Anyway, I'll see you guys. I've had so much fun this season of morning cartooning. It was really fun. Season 2, wrapping it up, and you guys are awesome. It was really fun, and it definitely made my mornings awesome. And like Jet said, I definitely learned a lot too. And thank you guys for being a part of it for so long and contributing and sending me your artwork. All right, I'm just rambling now, so I'm gonna hang up. I'll see you guys though soon, and yeah, hopefully I can see some of your work on Instagram or something like that. Oh, and in the meantime, send me your artwork anyway. I still want to see it, even if you're doing stuff and I don't share it on the show. I would love to see it and talk about it. Okay, bye.